Hello, my name is Dan Hawthorne and welcome to my channel. And this is going to be a follow-up on some things which I've recorded on previously, put up videos on them, but some additional material, of course. But one of the privileges of having your own channel is that you can go back to subjects which you felt you could add some more depth on and put out some new videos. So I did have a video earlier on deep infatuations and crushes, which are way too strong, and I could have had more warnings against those when I was growing up, and they're now called limerence. So if you look the word limerence on YouTube, Google, etc., whatever your search browser is, DuckDuckGo or Bravo or something like that, limerence, Limence, and you can find books on that on Amazon too. There's one of them, one of the best ones which I've read recently is Living with Limerence, and years ago I read the one on Levin Limerence by the author who really started off the discussion on that. We call it infatuations now. Um, but as I said, I could have had some more warnings against that, against getting stuck on one person for too long, for too hard. And I had some friends who could have warned me about some things too. They heard some deeply nasty things, at least from one of the crushes that I had, who said nothing to me, wouldn't deal with anything, but mocked me and spread these things behind my back. So the original title of this video wasn't going to be Friend Zone, Don't Waste Your Time on Shadow Brides, but Friend Zone, One Thing Not to Do Anymore. And I was going to refer you to this little graphic right here from Gone with the Wind. Earlier in Gone with the Wind, I think it's ridiculous, but hey, we got the directors here trying to um, put out a visual image, and this was the kind of image which you can see Scarlett there beaming with validation and um, vanity, being admired by the circle of men, and I think it's a ridiculous image. I wouldn't want anything to do with that group of guys myself. Be, I'm at this point, looking back, I'm going to be turning away from them. But the one thing not to do, what I was going to put was don't be a part of the entourage, don't be a part of the orbiters, and I'll get to that in a moment. But as we go into this, please click like and subscribe. There's going to be more on a number of different topics. I don't plan on visiting this one much in the future, but I may say enough for myself for a while with this video. But again, please click like and subscribe. I'm not monetized. I'm at this point, which I don't mind. I'm um, got enough financial support of my own, and so I can say what I want, pretty much, without having to worry about being monetized. But okay, don't want to be a part of the entourage. So this is another meme which has been going around. Someone talking to Jesus. Jesus, I need a good man. If you're just listening on the audio, so Jesus replies, I sent you one, but you kept saying he's just a friend. Yeah, in our churches, in our youth groups, in our young adult groups, over the course of a single guy's lifetime, he can get friend zoned a lot by women who they say they want a good guy, but they turn their back on him. And frankly, a lot of the women I've known over the years who've ended up with guys who are really, I would say, the guys who are bad boys, alcoholics, abusers, etc. They've been, they've usually stepped over 3 to 4 decent Christian men who sought to date them, to wife them up, maybe even propose to them, but they've stepped over it because they've been looking for other things. And I think among women in our churches that they have a tendency to chase bad boys, many of them. Um, there's another meme which I'll show you right now. It's a dad saying to his daughter, "You should become a cop," and the daughter says, "I don't want to." And the dad says, "You chase the same men they do, might as well get paid for it." So this is approaching it from humor, but yeah, there's been a lot of discussion about why many women pursue the bad boys. Maybe they're the most physically attractive women, but maybe their heart is more with the stuff that the bad boys are doing. Maybe they're more about um, getting into the drinking, the drugs. Maybe it's a heart of rebellion like that. I think there's a lot of rebellion that goes with that. Um, um, Sometimes the women in our churches, again, I don't say this is all because I've known some fine Christian women over the years, but they have a tendency to pursue the bad boys because their church life is a part of putting on a good girl persona to hide from others what they're really doing on the times. You see some, and sometimes that's the pastor's daughters. They stick around with the church because their father's the pastor, but they're still chasing some of the men as fix-it projects, as bad boys to get entertained to, and maybe even if they perceive Christian men as weak, to they could see that think that the bad boy is going to protect them better than a good man will, and that's one reason why I think Christian men should pursue being able to defend themselves both verbally, to be able to stand up to people, and not cave in too easily. Maybe pursue some sort of self-defense. Um, such as I personally like Krav Maga a lot because it really I think it really does have the best emphases on it. But okay, so coming back more to the list of things I want to say, I want to get back to a previous warning: beware if you see any stalking behaviors. If you're friend zone, don't be a simp stalker. Don't be a part of the entourage. Don't do don't do that. The person who can stop any sort of stalking, first and foremost, is a stalker who comes to his or her senses and says to himself or herself, stop. Don't be curious about what they're doing. You may find out about it soon enough, and you might find that you get really disappointed quickly if you find out why you've been friend zoned. And the fantasy of dogged persistence conquering unrequited love, it's movies and novels, happens far more than it does in real life. Yeah, some guys and gals do get out of the friend zone, but usually it's because the person who put them there comes to their senses about where they're going in life, what they're doing, and what the person that they friend zone is really like. And another previous warning I've had is learn not to take flirting and seductive or attention getting behaviors too seriously. Look for words and actions that demonstrate respect and reciprocity of respect, affection, kindness, and that the person regards you as a decent human being at least, and if you're a Christian, as a decent Christian following the Lord. So again, the proper reaction when friend zoned, and this goes all the way back to Ovid with the Art of Loving, his books, and the Art of Getting Out of Love, and this is common um, counsel at this point. Get as much distance as you can. Um, there's no reason to give a person a friendship if they've just rejected you disrespectfully, with dishonesty, with insults and put downs. It's not quite warranted in that case. If someone has disrespected you in that case, refusing any type of friendship, you're not seeing friendship from them. They usually want you for something else. So get as much distance as you can. And one of the things I've heard is to defeat your imagination there. Go with what they call daymares, day nightmares, which you consider the real ramifications of what going on could be, some of the worst that could happen. So don't let anyone close to you see your sorrow as well. And again, don't be an orbiter. Take the Captain Kirk maneuver after he had loved and lost, or loved and won, or loved and wanted to get away on his journeys throughout the original series. He would simply get on the Enterprise, say to Mr. Sulu, warp out of orbit, warp factor 1 at least, warp factor 2, warp factor 4, on to the next destination. And Kirk left him behind by getting out of orbit. So that's what you think, warp out of orbit. And again, avoid the attention getting behaviors. They come back afterwards, they've got to say that they're going to refute they're wrong to friend zone you. They're at least going to give you a decent chance. But if they're just trying to attract your attention and be flirty, all that, ignore. And if you're rejected, again, one and done. No more of this one-itis, keeping them for one. And find some way to counteract the simp stories because if you've been friend zoned, you may find some really stories designed to make the woman look better than she really was. Again, if you're a guy, I couldn't speak to this from the woman's standpoint, but they'll probably point you out as a weak man, as a simp, or something like that. So advise others not to believe that, and go on with your life. Get stronger, get better, follow the Lord more closely, get into the Word more closely as you can, and others will begin to see that well, maybe the problem wasn't you. And if they can't see that, then they need some to be able to think for themselves, to be able to look at others with more realism than they probably do. So, and there's some more to add. This is a section more to add. Pay attention to your romantic ideals. One of my romantic ideals, I mentioned the Star Trek the original series, was Shirley Bonney, who played Ruth in that. Yeah, she seemed to be the only woman that Captain Kirk really wanted to spend a lot of time with. And she was affectionate, compassionate, and seemed to be classy. And she's made up all in the 60s fashion. The fashion which she was made up with her hair and her dress and like that was actually um, in the Thomas Crown affair. Faye Dunaway had almost the same hairdo and hair and dress. So yeah, it was very 1960s class there. And understand, if you're anything like the guys in the Big Bang Theory, guys who read, who spend a lot of time in their mind doing stuff which may not be with their hands and like that. If you're one of the smart guys, gets good grades, understand that there are women who will simply be nerd avoidant. They put you in the nerd category. Nerds get friend zoned, and you're going to stay there. Um, understand and go beyond them. Go beyond them. Um, they can end up with the guys that they want and pay the price, good or bad. And understand there are women who are looking for a luxury lifestyle without effort. And if you remember back to the Titanic, Molly Brown, who was a woman who came up with her husband from rags to riches, literally. She's a hardworking woman. They're like the anti-Molly Brown. They want to have the luxury lifestyle, not have to work, which I really think that anyone any woman in church must understand that work is a part of our lifestyle. And Jesus did warn against that our life does not consist in the abundance of our things, and to be content with what we have. And the attitudes of a woman who wants to have a luxury lifestyle, if they're claiming to follow Jesus, they need to really look more at what he says in his word about things. So, and finally, you'll in this effort, you'll find watch your image. I worked in IT for years, and they're like the guys in the Big Bang Theory as far as challenged as far as being dressed well and haircuts and stuff. And a lot of guys who come from a blue collar background tend to be pretty much the guys who are really casual when off work, and I'm comfortable with being in a suit. I've dressed in a suit. I'm very comfortable in a suit. I wouldn't mind wearing a suit even in this, but I'm retired now, so I don't have to. So maybe look at Kevin Samuels. Maybe work on your image a little bit with a haircut, with being shaved or a beard, something like that. Something which watch your image. Something which is helping to put your best foot forward. I don't think you want to really make someone think that you're something you're not by pouring on the image, such as if you're put on the smart guy or smart girl glasses if they're trying to impress people that they're they're smarter than they are, and so on. But simply put your best foot forward, and don't spend a lot of time and money thinking about it. Think about the greater things, and just take care of that too. So idealization, it really can be a problem, and there's a quote I have from James Taranto from the Wall Street Journal, and if you look back in the early 2000s, you'll find that there are a couple submissions to his Best of the Web column from a guy named Dale Hawthorne, which I gave a couple suggestions of headlines, and he had a very great quote, which I've heard others put around, but he said, "The trouble with chivalry in today's world is as part of a reciprocal set of norms that are no longer widely observed. A boy who is raised to be a gentleman will find himself at a disadvantage with girls who are not raised to be ladies." And that can be a problem for a guy who tries to be a gentleman. Yet, yes, manners are great. Yes, being courteous is great. Being able to be gentle when time calls to be gentle, and to be forceful, uh, assertive, and strong, and even angry when the occasion calls for it. That's more about being a well-rounded person than anything. And we need to watch if we're being too nice, and especially if we hear talk about masculine and mannish women nowadays, they may look for a weak guy that they think they can exploit. So look for women who are classy. Do they have manners and decent dress, and do they have etiquette? Oh, etiquette. That's a book spot. We had Miss Manners back in the 1980s into the 1990s. Letitia Baldridge, and someone who talks about how to be mannerly. Look for women who show good manners. Um, we can still have social events, things like dinner parties. There's a recent book which I think is really funny. I think it's really good too. It's called Brunch is Hell, and I brought up this is an old print from the Saturday Evening Post back in 1957, and shows a dinner party, which is a way that people got together socially for a long time. And I would hope that we do realize they can come back. Um, look for women who are at least be a partner, who are seeking to avoid rudeness, abrasiveness. There are two women that I knew of. They're from the older generation. They're from my mother's generation. One was a receptionist at a major corporation who I knew was a Christian, and another one was a receptionist, secretary for a pastor. And they were both exuded happiness. They were very happily married. They were, and they were extraordinarily attractive, not just physically attractive. They kept themselves up for their age, but they exuded happiness, they exuded manners, and they exuded class. And the lady who was a receptionist, I happened to walk in and talk to her when she was when it was administrative assistance day, and her reception area was covered with flowers. So yeah, there's a place for that in someone's life always. And look for someone who values the right things. There's something which happened years ago, which this was just brought back to mind recently. That years ago I had a date with a gal who was from Paris, France. She was to say she is adorable. Yeah, she was adorable. And she saw my library as a pastor. Pastors do have extensive libraries. I never really got rid of it over the years, and I've been adding to it over the years too. And the reason is that if you're speaking 3 times a week, you need a lot of material, and we don't get it. Pastors don't spend times in their studies reading comic books, or some of the there are some sermon subscription services, but I've never been expected to, and I never wanted to have someone give me sermons to preach. So it's been hitting the books, hitting the exegesis, learning the life. Yeah, right over my right here. You can see the Hebrew dictionaries and concordance, and some of the other stuff on philosophy, biblical background. So I had all these books. The French gal, she saw my library, she saw my books. I saw something which I had never seen, and I don't even know if I've ever seen it since in the life, in the eyes of a woman toward me, because that most Americans, when they saw that library, they go, have you read all these books? Well, out of my references where you just refer to them when you're looking at a subject, but yeah, we do read a lot, and reading is part of being a pastor. But people, the Americans generally had the mouth open, but she looked at it, saw one thing in her eyes: respect. Respect that I don't know if I've ever seen before or since. And I think, and she was going to the mission field, and I think that did show that she did have her values right. Yeah, she was adorable. Yeah, but she did have the right values too. So that's all I have for today on this subject. I reserve the right to put out a video if anything else comes to mind that I want to share. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. And if you click like and subscribe, maybe if this has helped you, or look at other videos. So thank you again.